Good morning. I'm just going to wait a few minutes to see if anyone joins. We shall have a little time. I'm really excited. I'm broadcasting from my closet, as you can see, um, which is kind of a very suitable, I think, backdrop for this video. Um, and what I want to talk with you guys about, and if you're live and you want to chime in, I would love to hear where you're coming from or where you're listening from. If you want to leave a comment, that would be so awesome. um, I wanted to share with you a little bit about my story and where I came from, and offer you a little bit of what helped me a lot to make the transition from being a physician to doing what I do now, which is being a life coach, a shamanic healer, and also an author of several books. Um, so about 8 years ago in 2010, and the years leading up to that, I was feeling really stuck at work, and I was working in a busy hospital as a pathologist, so spending most of my days staring down a microscope, making diagnoses of disease. And it was work I had loved for a very long time. But by this time I had 4 kids with my husband, and uh, life just was not what I thought it was going to be. It felt really uncomfortable, I guess, is the best way I can use to describe it. I was no longer feeling really deeply content with the life that we had, and I was feeling torn in a million different directions. So I took a sabbatical, and during that time, I fully expected to go back to work, but ended up, that was the end of working for me, more or less. I did work casual and a few days a week for a little period, but for a few years, but eventually left medicine to do what I do now, which is work that I love. And so I have a big passion for talking to people and helping people who are feeling that way. Maybe you're in healthcare, maybe you're in the corporate world, or maybe you are working at some other job that formerly was feeling great for you and no longer is, and you're looking for some sort of deeper meaning. And I just want to reach out to you, and I've created a little course, which I'll tell you a little bit more about as we go along here. But I wanted to invite you, there's one really specific thing that will help you if you're feeling like, I'd like to find more meaningful work. I'd like to love my job. 8 years ago or 10 years ago, when I was, no, sorry, it's been 8 years, 9 years, when I was in medicine, if you looked in my closet, basically all you would have seen were some blue scrubs, khaki pants, and then a few dresses for special occasions. And I thought it would be kind of fun to shoot this from my closet. Not that I do any work with closets or I'm going to help you with your closet. However, my closet now reflects a much more colorful and meaningful life that I was longing for back then, but didn't even know was missing. And so, yeah, it's my belief that we all have these things that we're being drawn to, and it can be very uncomfortable to come to this point in your life where you don't feel content and satisfied with the way things are. So what I was going to say is that one of the most critical things you can do if you'd like to find your way again and find meaningful work, or the way I like to say it is, like, if you'd love to once again love what you do and how you do it, then one thing I really invite you to do is to create a little time for yourself, a little space in your schedule. It doesn't have to be a ton of time, but that you are going to really devote to exploring this new life that seems to be calling to you. It doesn't mean you have to quit your job. It doesn't mean you need to go on a sabbatical. It doesn't mean you don't need to do any of that. But just to create a little space, it could be maybe a little morning practice. If like maybe setting aside 20 minutes in the morning to do some reading and exploration of topics you're interested in, or things that are kind of drawing your attention. And what's really interesting is that sometimes the things that draw your attention may make no sense whatsoever. So for example, when I was in medicine and feeling really distressed and unhappy in my job, and hey, Lorraine, welcome. I'm seeing a few people popping up. When I was really distressed in my job, I had this weird yearning to glue pictures of animals onto glass or to do decoupage. And really, I thought to myself, like, what could this possibly have to do with like finding my feel good work or finding like my meaning and purpose in my life again that seems to have gone missing? But strangely, when I allowed myself to go in my basement and glue these like pictures, at first it was like chickens and cows. I mean, it was strange. Even my friends were like, come over and they're like, what are you doing in your basement again? I'm like, come on downstairs. We're going to decoupage. It's really fun. Anyway, that really led to, as it began to unfold, the animals got wilder. And eventually, looking back, it was really, I don't know, the universe, my soul, something trying to guide me to my work that I do now, which has to do with spirit animals. I have a sloth that's my sister gifted me that was sitting across from me. So that strange thing, which makes not a lot of sense. So when you set aside this, I'm inviting you to set aside a little bit of time for yourself, you know, where you're going to devote it to whatever it is you're fascinated with. And especially if it's something weird and makes no logical sense. And isn't something that's going to make you money, isn't something that is strategic, I mean, when I was gluing stuff in the basement, I kept trying to think like, you know, how do you make a living at decoupage, which actually made me feel terrible. So, you know, if you try to be too logical with it, it will not be comfortable. So this is one of the most powerful steps you can take if you're not loving what you do and how you do it, and you're wanting more meaning and purpose in your life, is just to create a little bit of space. And if you're feeling like, oh my God, like I was back then, like my schedule has no room for anything. Like I have 4 kids, I got to get ready for school. I am super stressed. There's no way I can even carve out 20 minutes. You might want to then maybe set aside like an entire Saturday, you know, hire the babysitters, get the bouncers, whoever you need to bring in, you know, barter with somebody to take your kids so you can, or maybe you don't have kids, but, you know, to create some space for yourself, or to go on a weekend away, to devote just to exploring what it is that feels good. And I'm just reading the comments. Lorraine saying, this past week, I have been obsessed with researching my family history, contacting relatives, and I literally just spent the whole morning doing this instead of working. It makes no sense. So awesome. Yeah, like, and nobody's going to pay you right now to like, you know, research your family history, but there's something there. And that's kind of the magic of, that's sort of how our soul begins to, you know, kind of whisper to us. And at first it whispers, I think Oprah said this, you know, first it whispers, then it'll kind of, you know, hip check you. And the next thing you know, like if you ignore this voice of discomfort, and you try to squash that craving to go research, in Lorraine's case, research her family history. In my case, it was like glue and pictures of animals onto any object I could get my hands on with Elmer's glue. If you ignore that, it will get more uncomfortable. And then I think Oprah likes to say, then you're just going to get that, you know, you're going to end up, and that's when, you know, it can get really uncomfortable. So it's good to listen to these things because they have a magic and a purpose, and although they may not make a lot of sense. So one of the things that I've created, because I have, as I said, I have so much compassion for people who are experiencing what I was experiencing a few years ago and are looking for more meaning and more purpose in their life. So I created this course, which is a digital online course called the Life Pirate Academy. Why Life Pirate Academy? It doesn't really make a lot of sense, but I feel like it takes a lot of courage and a lot of support and a lot of salt. I like to swear periodically, and although there isn't that much swearing in the telecourse, and in this telecourse, it's, you know, it's packed with, there are 17 videos, there are journal prompts, there are recordings, there is actually a whole bonus class on shamanism. So if you want to connect with your spirit animal, I will show you how to go about doing that. And that is something that certainly has radically changed my life, connecting with the spirit animal. So if that appeals to you, that is kind of a bonus module in the course. And then there's a private Facebook group where you can join and where we can together as sort of a little tribe support each other. And right now that tribe is kind of small because I just launched this course in November and we have about 50 life pirates in there. But I'm excited to invite more of you in because I know you're out there and I know you have amazing magical talents and gifts that are waiting to be shared. And what I do is I share with you all my best tips and tricks and all the things that I share with my private one-on-one clients. And I know that not everybody can afford or has the time to sit down and do one-on-one life coaching with a coach. And but I also realize that I love the online learning platform because you can be like, you're waiting in carpool, you can do lessons there, you can sit while your kid's in gymnastics and do a lesson in the coffee shop, or there's all these little pockets of time, and with our phones we can access this. So it's a course that you could take on a weekend away for yourself, and you could sort of binge do the whole course with your journal. And I really invite you to do some deep looking at your life, and then there's some challenges too to invite you to consider things you're willing to do for yourself. And above all, this course is really packed with a lot of learning to be compassionate with ourselves. And because I think that's one thing I was certainly lacking when I was in my space of feeling really uncomfortable at work and being very, I guess, discontented is the best way I can say is how it felt. And I've developed a lot more self-compassion for myself. And now I like to ask people the question, how good are you willing to let it get? Because what I realized looking back on my own life is that there was a part of me that was thinking that I didn't deserve to truly love and embrace my, really love my life. And I have to say that now I get up excited. I mean, sometimes on weekends, I have to remind myself like not to work because I love to write. I love to work one-on-one with clients. I love leading retreats, and all these things really connect into my deepest purpose. So it's fantastic. And that may not be where you're headed, but that's where you're going to make a little room in your life if you'd like to say yes to this invitation to explore either daily, or maybe you're going to take a day or a weekend away for yourself to begin to explore what is calling to you. What is it that sounds like fun? So above you can see there's a little link, and you can go check out the course and what people are saying about it. And I would love it if you joined, and you'll be in the Facebook group as soon as you're there, and you'll get immediate access to all the videos, and I hope that you enjoy it. So let me know what happens to you when you make that space for yourself, and just glad you're here. Thank you for watching. Sending you blessings from the closet. Bye.